Here we go again, Thomas.
Yeah.
Another guest, another story. We're happy to welcome here Michel Besner from Prevu3D.
Thanks for welcoming here. It's really good to be able to do this podcast.
Thank you for coming. I've been following Prevu3D for several years, but let's pick it in a way, or tell us about the Prevu3D in a way, so that person that has never seen it before understand it. So go straight forward to it. What's the Prevu3D?
So all we're about is really helping companies understand their existing conditions. If you have a factory or train station or whatever other facilities, these are complex environments. There's a lot of equipment. It's hard to understand. And a CAD model, although very useful from an engineering perspective, is never really giving you the full understanding of what's out there, right? And so we have developed a platform where you can take 3D scanning data, imagery, photogrammetry, and other inputs and create the most visual environments that can be used for different purposes, from virtual site training to engineering workflows to now maintenance and operations use cases. But it's really helping you understand the existing world through a as-built platform for reality capture.
Mm-hmm. What has been your goal from the beginning? Because I know that you are not only doing the showing of the 3D assets and whatever information you can, but you are also doing the processing part of it.
Exactly. So the challenge with all this data is not just to have it, is to make it usable, right? So point clouds, for example, typically what you get from a 3D scanning device is a very cumbersome, heavy data model, right? So most people struggle with that. Then you have points in space. It's hard to understand what you're looking at. If you're an expert into it, it's okay. But for most people, they're not comfortable with that. We convert that into a mesh model, which basically looks like a game version of the facility. Then people understand a lot more what's going on. And you'll see a lot more technologies, like Gaussian Splat is something we'll talk about in this interview, where it's becoming more and more visual. And the challenge is not just to make it visual, but you need to understand what you're looking at. And that's what a lot of the process we've been putting in place is, not just making beautiful visuals, but to help the customer, the user, make it understandable for their business.
But to make it clear maybe for people, are you mainly focused on processing or mainly for showcasing data which are processed somewhere else? So what would be the major part?
I would say that the primary people use our platform for converting this data, but we can take in data from other software, right? So we do both. We're very much an open system, right? There's data everywhere. There's CAD software that generate CAD models. You've got scanning data, you've got photogrammetry, you've got different things. The challenge, like, where do you put all of that in one place that makes sense, right? So people, when you talk to them, like a scanning provider, to an engineering firm, to an owner-operator, they're struggling. How do I manage all of that? And so our focus is like, okay, whatever data you have, we can process and make it usable. But if you already have data you've processed somewhere else, we can take that in as well.
Yeah, without any bias towards like revenues and the business model, what do you actually prefer? If they send you point cloud so that you can process it in a way that you are sure it will work good and look good, or do you prefer if they already send you the mesh model? And
actually, for me, I don't mind either case, right? It's really more about the convenience of how the customer gets what he wants, right? Getting a scan file or even a mesh model is just an entry point to the whole journey of a visual twin solution. So if you already have a mesh model, if you already have a photogrammetry that's been built, or you have a point cloud, we just want to make it where it's easy to ingest all of that and very quickly have a visual, interactive environment that you can actually start doing something with it. Because the raw data itself doesn't mean too much. And just to view things, okay, but you have either engineering projects, you want to redesign your production line, you want to change your factory, you want to improve your health and safety processes, whatever you want to do, that's the actual real work that the companies want to do. The scanning to processing to creating a mesh model is just to get there, right? So we care a lot about getting the customer where it needs to go and not focusing too much about how we want to process things because we make money on processing. I prefer that you get your data as quickly as possible, the shortest time between input to a viewing, working solution.
So to better understand it, like, you're not trying to position yourself as a processing company, rather you are looking at it as a help to your customer? Like, okay, if you struggle with this part, we can cover it.
So what we've done to bring clarity is that we have a few product names now that makes it very simple to understand the ecosystem. So RealityPlatform is really like a Dropbox where you manage your sites, your data, your users, your projects, right? And so that's meant to be like your Dropbox for reality capture, right? Then from that, you either have like engineering workflow you have to do. That's why we have a product called RealityPlan. That's where you do design layouts. You can do like CAD integrations to validate if your CAD is matching with your scan data and so on. To RealityTwin, which is the newest product, which is all about connecting system of records like your ERP, like SAP and manufacturing systems into a living visual twin layer. And then to make all of this exist in a connected world, we've built what we call Reality Connect, which is a set of native plugins for Revit, Inventor, AutoCAD, SolidWorks, and so on, but also connecting system of records like Aviva, Siemens, and other things to really enable an open ecosystem that allows you to manage the as-built world in a way that it's easy to access, easy to understand, and makes it a lot more efficient to make things work into your factory or your business.
I really like that you are not positioning yourself as the end of the process, but that you have the plugins for other softwares, because this is, from my point of view, pretty unique. And you are allowing people actually to get the data and continue working with them. And that's, from my point of view, very important.
Yeah, and so it's a bit of my own history. So we were talking before that, we came from the visual effects industry. So the FBX file format, my first company created that 25 years ago.
Nice.
So I've been involved in 3D interchange standards for a long time. I know what it means and the impact long term. And so we see ourselves sort of the FBX of reality capture through an API this time, because now we're moving to cloud-based and API-driven world, but really enabling where you've got this as-built world, and this needs to exist in a visual form, and it needs to be connected to your CAD software, your simulation software, to whatever other product you have into your ecosystem, so you can have an understanding of the existing reality. Because conceptually, in a CAD software, you have an idea of a design. You don't have the existing world. Like floors are not straight. There's imperfections in the real world that if you don't have that notion into your different software, then you make mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure you heard about Omniverse.
Yes.
And if you are talking about other softwares, is there also a vision for you to go into that direction?
So we've built a Reality Connect plugin for Omniverse.
Okay.
Right? So we have customers that see us as the place where they're going to be managing the as-built world, and then connected in Omniverse for doing simulation and other aspects that you can do great with Omniverse. So yes, again, we are looking to connect different systems together and not being a closed box environment.
Here I would like to bring up a point that who knows Omniverse, it's a platform where you need to care about the amount of data you're bringing in. And that means the Prevu3D is also looking at the optimization point of the data and the optimal structures, that it's not too heavy compared to combining or looking at it visuals versus quality.
Yes. So one thing we've done as part of this whole ecosystem that we've built is that when you look at a 3D scan, our eyes see something, but the computer just see a blob of points or triangles, right? So we've crawled this layer reality asset, which is sort of a semantical layer where you can start segmenting or isolating the assets you have within a scan. And so in the case of our plugins with Revit and Omniverse, you can actually service a specific asset inside of Omniverse. Instead of bring the whole point cloud, which is heavy, you just say, well, I need this asset or this object or this wall into my Omniverse. And then you complement with the CAD models you need. So every asset that you use from a reality saves you time that you don't have to model that unless you need to model it for a specific engineering or design purpose.
Yeah, correct.
I have seen several demos in last years where you were actually showing the features of connecting the 3D data with the IoTs and different sensors.
Yes.
And is this something that's still on the roadmap, or is it ready to go? Or?
It's shipping now. So basically RealityTwin, that's what we just released recently, is now you have these assets into your visual layer, and then you can connect that to your IoT, to ERP system like SAP, to Aviva Pi for operational data and manufacturing data, and really making it where you have a single layer of visual information that you can access any system that you have connected into your company.
And is it going to be self-uploading process? is the user actually going to be able to start it on themselves and pull their own data and set it all up, or they need some onboarding process, or how does it look like?
So it's a bit of both, right? So we're always building our product to be easy to use, right? We like that customers onboard in our product in a matter of a day or so. They know how to run the product. It's easy. It's very modern as a tool. It's very visual. So it's very enjoyable to learn the product. But indeed, when you talk about enterprise integrations, there's different things that comes into place. First, there's the IT department of those companies that have a say on who's connecting which data to which system, right? And sometimes they don't have necessarily the resources internally to make integrations. That's why we're building partnerships now with solutions providers and integrators that will provide that last mile of integration service. But it's designed where it's meant to be easy to do from both a partner perspective or from a customer perspective.
And from the point of the end user, is it a cross-platform environment, or is it working only on PCs or Mac, or
So
how does it work?
we're moving a lot everything to the web, right? So initially we had a desktop product, which we still do for the engineering part. Teaser, it's being published now more and more into the web. So by next year, we'll have the full capabilities of our product, full web by next year. But the web makes it a lot easier to deploy, to enable different companies, different users to access the platform. And we're very serious about security. So we're SOC 2 Type 2, security compliant, GDPR, all that stuff we take really seriously because we deal with the largest companies in the world. And so we want to make sure that they can trust our service, our solution, the way that they need to service.
If I could get back to the point of data storing on your platform. So from me as a service provider as well, I look at it like the data, like the raw data which you collect, which you store somewhere. Then you have the process data, which you are using mainly, but you don't want to lose the raw data, or sometimes you need the combination or connection of them. So your storage works as well for, like, if I say scanning and photogrammetry, I upload everything there and it's stored and then processed.
Exactly. And what we've done, which is very important, is that ultimately, when you think about a facility like any machine, you end up having multiple visual representation of that machine. You might have some pictures, a 3D scan, you might have a surface model, a mesh model, a 2D diagram illustration of that machine. It's the same machine, it's just different visual representation. So our vision about an asset within our system is an asset that understands that there's different ways of representing it. And so one thing that we're showcasing for the first time at INTERGEO this week is that, we hear a lot about Gaussian splat, which is this new way of doing image-based processing that feels like it's a 3D environment, but really it's a magic trick of pixels being displayed onto a screen. So it's like a cloud of images, but when you spin around, it feels like it's really 3D, but you can't grasp anything because it's just pixels, right? So we are combining that with our mesh technology. That's why we call it display fusion, where you actually have the Gaussian splat viewing, so it feels really real, but then you can click on assets, like if you're in a 3D environment.
So you're basically keeping mesh invisible. Or...
Exactly. And so from the end user perspective, it's like magic because you're looking at something that it looks the best visual possible, but you're interacting like if you were in 3D. And so we can do that with pictures. We could do that with the point cloud. So combining the different visual representations for the best use case that you have. Sometimes you need the point cloud for actual raw data input about here's what was captured. Sometimes you need the mesh model for rapid design viewing, and then sometimes just for viewing, visitors touring, you just want a picture or a Gaussian splat experience, but you can't necessarily use Gaussian splat for an engineering perspective because you can't measure truly precisely on the Gaussian splat. So combining these different techniques into what we call sort of a data bundle. So you have the point cloud with the mesh, the CAD, and the Gaussian splat. Then we service you different visual representation that gives you at each user level what you really need to be successful.
Exactly. We had this discussion today as well, and the point was, or the question came like, is it this Gaussian splatting is something what is going to be there instead of the point clouds? I'm saying like, no, it's a layer. It's a layer, and you name it exactly.
And so combining these elements together is the hard part that we've been building for the past 2 years, because having a real-time interactive system that you can switch between a point cloud, a picture, a mesh, a Gaussian splat model, and all of that scalable, interactive, and easy to use it's a hard system to build, but we took a great amount of time to do that because we knew that combining these different techniques together is the right way to go. And now we're starting to see the benefit of that because people are like, oh my God, you have this beautiful Gaussian splat display. Then we start clicking on an asset and they go, oh my God, like you mean this can be in an attractive environment? Absolutely. If you can also imagine where suddenly you replace a mesh model of an asset with a CAD version because you want to see the disassembled version of that model. So really creating ways where you access whatever data you have connected to our platform in a way that it represents what you need for that given moment. So there's never like, oh, that's the only way, the future is this or the future is that. The future is this fusion or this hybrid model of combining everything together into a single living platform.
So would you say the future is that Gaussian splatting will be the part of these processes and will
100%.
be like, yeah.
And there might be other innovations that will come. The key is like, how do you build a system where ultimately when you're looking at your 3D environment, everything are clickable, selectable assets that can be used for a surveying, engineering purpose, all the way to a plant facility manager. And you just basically choose how you want to represent the data to what you need as a consumer of the platform. And that's really where we're going with this, is making it easy to access, easy to visualize, easy to understand in context. So back to the IoT aspect, we're looking to create a platform where you can actually start querying the system about, I'd like to see my cost of maintenance and can create a heat map on top of my data so I can understand where there are issues, other things like that. So data becoming visual, right? So you think of like Tableau, which is very known for data analytics on time series for pure analytical level. There's no Tableau for space and time. And that's what we're really building ultimately.
And this should be built on AI?
AI is a key part to this. Now, the danger with AI, I've been doing AI before AI was cool, like 15 years ago. And AI, the danger is the hallucinations, right? And so if it's right, no problem. But if you have hallucination, like you invent a button on a machine that doesn't exist, and then you create a guide to say, press this button to turn off the machine, it doesn't exist on that specific machine, what do? Right? Mm-hmm. So AI is an enabler. It's clearly something that will add a lot of power and functionality. But you can't base your kernel of your solution on an AI. You need AI to be an augmentative aspect.
You cannot rely on it.
Well, you need to build tools where you have absolute control. So you need to understand what is the AI giving you. So you need explainability of the AI. Mm-hmm. And you need that AI, if it gives you something, that you still have control to tweak what you want as a customer yourself. You cannot be like, well, I'm stuck in my AI and my AI is not giving me what I want, but that's the best I got because AI now is limited in this iteration process, like we do all the time with ChatGPT. You do something, at some point you realize that he's getting confused. Like you went too far into your questioning and he's now not giving you what you want. Well, imagine if you're trying to manage your factory and you now is trying to battle your AI because it's not listening to you anymore, right? So AI will be a great enabler, but you need to have the control of your tools and how the data is connected and how data is understandable for your users. It cannot be, well, oh, the AI has done something, I don't understand what's going on. And that's one of the risks if you don't do it right. And that's why we've been, because we have a lot of expertise in AI, we're building a lot of the foundation before AI becomes usable. And people mistake that.
I think that with the right preparation of the agent that will be responding to users, you are able to pre-prompt him, like whether, for example, if you're not sure, just tell you're not sure.
Yes.
Don't think about any answer, right?
Yeah.
So you can actually manage those. So
absolutely.
But you still have like this ultimate control to tell it like, stop with this, do this.
Exactly. And the key word is control, right? And so whatever you put into your software, whether it's like program or it's AI driven, you need to give the customer the control he needs, right? So you never want to be in a software where you go, I can't work anymore, but it doesn't work for me and I don't know what to do. Because then that breaks efficiency, that creates an issue. So you want a tool set that is open. That's why we're adding a lot of APIs so you can program in and out between our product and other solutions, but also making connected APIs with AI. So MCP is really enabling integration with different protocols of AI is part of what we're developing.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to touch one more question because you said that you are like pushing everything towards the web-based solution. That comes with a huge amount of data, right?
Yes.
We are in a reality capturing business, so we know what does it mean. If you scan a facility of 50,000 square meters,
Yeah.
it's a ton of data. So how are you going to handle this to be able to deliver all of it through the web-based environment?
So that's a lot of the magic we've been developing for the past couple of years, right? Is how do you make a lot of that data usable from a web perspective? And so for a long time, we've been building a lot of optimizations and how to break down the data in a way that you can service it for performance. I mean, I always love to do a demo of our product because people are like, how do you do this, right? Because we are done so much work in making large amount of data, like huge amount of data. Like we've treated like terabytes of scanning data and making it fluidly visual into a web experience. And that's often where a lot of other products in our market that are competing with us are trying to get to this visual experience, and they can't because they can display something, but it's cumbersome, it's slow, it's not scalable. Everything we do is all about the visual experience, because at the end of the day, that's what matters. If you want to have thousands of employees running a platform to understand their facility, it has to be as fluid as you want it, like you're playing a game. It cannot be like, oh, this is heavy, this is difficult,
Yeah.
I have to wait. You want it like it needs to feel very natural. Right.
This I understand, but also my question was heading there was like whether you store also the raw data, because
we
I
do.
but I understand that you optimize the data which you are showing. That's perfect, but
Yeah.
you need to store the rest of the data, which are the huge the space.
Yeah, but so
Yeah, sure.
our pricing model is designed for that scale.
Perfect.
Right. So it's, of course, our customers can start very small. So you don't have to pay a big price just to get using the product.
Yeah.
And then if you have more data, more scale, then there's, of course, volume pricing. So if you want to have like terabytes of data, there's certainly volume discount that makes it attractive at that point. So the key is like making the data accessible, making it interactive, visual, and then you can, get to the real results. The investment cost of our solution is certainly a really easy to justify return on investment, because you're getting a lot of value on something that otherwise you would have to wait around and hunt for your data because it's stored in different places, making it easy for one place to share, connect, and enable different workflows.
So at the end, when you finish the process of delivering it to web-based environment, is it going to work on a phone, on tablet, or
Yep.
wherever?
Yeah.
So anywhere you
We
have
haven't,
the
we haven't
web
officially
browser.
announced the tablet support, but it does work.
Okay.
And so we already know some customers that are starting to play with the tablets. Tablets have more limited graphics performance than a desktop web experience, but that's just a matter of time. But all the stack that we've built on the product is fully enabled for a mobile capability. We just need to get the devices a bit more performance to some level. Again, depending on how much data you're talking about, if you want to visualize a 100,000 square meter facility, that's a lot of scan data, a lot of mesh models, a lot of information. But we're getting there, right? So we've built everything to be future-proof in that context.
Maybe for people which would like to start with Prevu and with Prevu3D and testing it, do you also offer, or do you have people which are giving like a trainings or something that you guide your customers?
Absolutely. So if you already have your scanning data, even simpler, we love to do proof of concept pilot projects with our customers. We have a lot of scanning partners around the world. So if you don't have any data, we can help you do that initial pilot project. So we're really good at helping people discover this world of visual twins and 3D scanning. And the nice thing with our products, because we have this ultra fast processing capabilities, if you have like a few hundred gig of a point cloud, we can within a few hours get it converted to a mesh model, and you can start playing with it right there. So you don't have to wait weeks and months to get something going. So it really brings an instant understanding of what we can do. And a lot of our customers, they start playing with the product, and rapidly they see the benefits and how it's easier to communicate intent on it's an engineering design, or here's showing someone your actual facility in a very easy to use software. Changes the whole data conversation.
Amazing.
And one more question about the data, because from the perspective of processing the point clouds, as long as you're using TLS, you are okay. You can mesh it regularly in several softwares. But so far, it has always been a problem to mesh SLAM data it was always coming up with some bubbles, and it was very difficult to process big data of unregistered of unordered point clouds. So, have you solved this?
Yes. Yeah.
You are able to solve to mesh also SLAM data.
100%. So we support terrestrial scanners, SLAM, drone LiDAR. We're actually working on a photogrammetry pipeline as well to complement the Gaussian splat processing. So you can basically bring anything to our platform in whatever format, and we'll basically convert it into like these living, exciting environments, including large-scale SLAM captures. Of course, one trick, I think is like the notion of control points for increasing the fidelity of large-scale scanning. That's where you want to have a scanning company that knows about control points and those registration challenges, because if you just go and walk around with a SLAM scanner, you will have drift over time, right?
And you can end up with 3 walls instead of 1.
Exactly, but if you do it right, at scale, we have customers doing very large-scale SLAM captures, and we take it all.
Which technology do you love most in Prevu3D? Which looks like the best?
You mean from a scanner perspective?
No.
Well, obviously the terrestrial scanners, are the highest quality. They take longer to capture, but you get amazing results. But you know what? Like the way you look at it, like you have a site, and it's going to be a melting pot of different scanning you'll do, right? Nobody's going to go and scan a 100,000 square meter facility with the terrestrial scanner at one shot, because it's going to take too much time. Now, if you start with one drone capture, then some SLAM capture, and then some TLS, and basically create a mosaic of different scanning data that creates your space. And that's why we've got this module called Reality Composer. It's almost like a volumetric Photoshop, where you can basically patch any layers of scanning data, whatever they come from, into your complete digital visual twin, right? So you don't have that pressure of like, oh, I need to scan everything with this device or that device. You can basically do whatever you want. And sometimes scanning with a drone first gives you a really quick survey of the space, and you say, okay, now we need to scan this part with higher quality, and then you mix the two of them, and then basically it becomes a contiguous environment.
And it actually looks good when you are first looking at the outer shelf.
Yes.
Instead of like
a small
some weird
Exactly.
sections.
And it's really like this puzzle that you're able to create, and making it easy to do that is one of the key solutions we solved over the past year, making it where you just go like, hey, it's like Photoshop, but we're dealing with multiple layers of scanning data.
Yeah.
Nice.
Perfect, Michel. It was great having you here.
Same here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all the introduction and information.
Thank
See
you so
later.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.